In this episode, we are talking cruise ship cabins. Which ones are the best for you? From cabin types to any extras you need to look at if you are selecting a cabin. Let's start off with the types of cabins. Most cabins on a cruise ship go into 4 types. Inside, ocean view, balcony, and then we have the suites. With each of these having subcategories with different tiers as part of them. I'm not going to go into each subcategory as they can vary from cruise line to cruise line and each ship, so let's keep with the 4 main categories. Let's start off with the inside cabin. The inside cabin is usually your most basic cabin type with a bed, a bathroom, and a closet. This is ideal for those that just need a basic cabin on a cruise ship or those that are on a budget, as they are usually the cheapest cabins. There are 2 main downsides to these cabins though. First is that they are usually the smallest cabin on the ship, but if you just need a place to sleep, then this shouldn't be a problem. The second, which is my biggest downside, is that they have no natural light coming into them. Depending on who you are, this could be a huge advantage or a disadvantage, as you won't know whether it's 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning. To counter this, some cruise lines are creating what is called virtual balconies. These are wall-sized television screens designed to show you what the outside of the ship looks like via cameras placed in various parts of the ship. Here's a tip though, if you decide to pick an inside cabin that doesn't have these virtual balconies, most ships have a channel on the television that shows what the outside looks like. Keep the TV on this channel at night so you have a rough idea of what the outside looks like when you wake up. The next type of cabin is the outside cabin or ocean view. On most ships, these are very similar to the inside cabin except for one difference, the porthole window, giving you access to natural light. The price compared to an inside cabin is usually a little bit more expensive than that of an inside, but not by much. If you're after another budget room that you just want to sleep in, but you need or want natural light that's not being broadcast on the TV, this would be your best option. The next cabin on our list is the most popular with cruisers, the balcony cabin. These are slightly bigger in size than an Oceanview cabin, but they do usually cost more. The main draw card for these cabins is the balcony, which gives you your own private outside space to enjoy. The last cabin type is the suite. These are the highest level you can get on a cruise ship, and as such is usually the most expensive. Suites range from what feels like a balcony cabin with a bit more room, to something with a larger balcony, to multi-room, multi-level cabins that can be bigger than some houses. They're usually located on the ship with the best views and the best locations. Also, some come with extra amenities and inclusions that the other cabins don't include. So how do you select a cabin? Now that I've given you a basic understanding of the cabin types, let's take a look at the other considerations for picking a cabin. First is budget. This is the first port of call when deciding which cabin you want. If you're on a budget, you want to find the cheapest cabin that you can, and that it's usually an inside cabin. While this is not always true, depending on the specials you can find, you might get lucky and be able to find something like an upgrade to an ocean view for the same price. If money isn't a problem, you might want to splurge on a suite though. Something else that can help with getting a cheaper cabin is being either at the front or back of the ship, as the middle of the ship is considered the most popular, as they don't rock as much. The front or back of the ship can save you a little bit of money. If you're not fussed on where you stay, picking a cabin fare where you don't select your cabin can also help, but you might not know which cabin you'll be given until close to your departure date, maybe even the day of, as you're usually given one of the last available cabins in that category. Another trick to save money on a cabin is get what is called an obstructive view. These are usually ocean view or balconies that have something that is blocking the view. Most of the time it's lifeboats or tenders, but getting these rooms can help with the budget. An obstructive view isn't always bad. As you can see here, you can still see out pretty easily. Another thing to consider with your budget is traveling solo. Some cruise lines accommodate solo cruises with solo cabins, while others might put you in a full-size cabin, and unfortunately you'll be required to pay extra, which is called the solo cruiser supplement, which is close to the equivalent of 2 passengers. The location of the cabin. Location, location, location. That's the mantra of real estate. Location is important. Don't let anyone tell you that it's not. If you're selecting a cabin on the ship, have a look at the ship's layout. Go to a search engine like Google, search up the ship's name, plus the word deck plan, and you usually find the first link that you're looking for. Then you want to have a look at these things to take into consideration. Are you prone to seasickness? If you are, your best bet is to pick a cabin that is lower and in the middle of the ship, as these don't rock anywhere near as much. Are you a light sleeper? Do you like to sleep in? If you want less noise, then take these steps. Don't pick a cabin that is under or below any bars, restaurants, stages, basically any public spaces. Also, don't pick close to the elevator. For your best chance of not having a noisy cabin, always pick a cabin that has cabins above, below, and either side of you. Also avoid an interconnecting cabin, unless of course you're traveling with that cabin that's next door. Interconnecting cabins will usually have a symbol on the deck plan such as this. This symbol can vary from cruise line to cruise line though. What about the location of things? What will you do mostly on the cruise? Are you planning on seeing lots of shows? Planning on visiting your favourite bar more and want to be that bit closer? This could be something to consider. If you want the chance to be as close as possible, maybe pick a cabin that's somewhere in the middle so you're as close to everything as possible. The views. Do you want to see something from your cabin? Then you're going to need to pick accordingly. And usually the higher room categories have the better views. If you're in a cabin with the term obstructed, this means that something is usually obstructing your view, usually a lifeboat or tender. The features of the cabin. Just want somewhere to sleep and not much else? An inside cabin would be a good choice. Want your own personal view of the ocean with the sea breeze? Then you're going to have to choose a balcony. Need lots of room to stretch? Then you'll most likely need a suite. Before I continue with the last thing to consider, if you've cruised before, what type of cabin is your favourite? Also, how do you pick which cabin you stay in? Leave a comment to tell us. Perks and inclusions. Another thing to consider when booking a cruise is what the inclusions and extras that it might include. Depending on the cabin type, it can include just the cabin itself, to things like a dressing robe, all the way to something extravagant like having your own personal butler for the cruise. Other extras like drinks packages can also be part of the cabin you pick. So it might be cheaper to have an upgraded cabin type if you're going to purchase that anyway. So check what the cabin includes before you make a decision. Some cruise lines are now including exclusive areas for certain cabin types. If you want to get into that area, you might need to see if the cabin includes that access. Do you know what some of the surprising things that you agree to when you book a cruise? Have a look at this video to find out what they are. And as always, thanks for watching.